Hello everyone. We are back with the next round of Pikmin 2 Payoff Debt Tournament.
Woo!
Today we got
Just had to bring the energy up, you know.
Today we got Jpep versus Chemi. And with me on commentary, we have Average and Curtis.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Are the runners ready?
Yep.
All right. I will do a countdown, assuming we're all ready. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Good luck.
Everyone.
Well,
right.
welcome, Curtis. Very excited
how's
for
it
this
going?
match.
Yeah. So we're in round 2 now. So basically, got like the people you would consider like top runner status.
Yeah. Definitely going to see some closer matches in these rounds compared to the first round. One thing I'm interested about is that Chemi literally just PB'd like 3 hours ago or something with a low 133. So she might be coming in with some momentum into this match. Not often you have someone drop a top 3 time right before a match. So I'm interested to see how that affects things.
The thing is that Chemi's been capable of times like that for like a long time. So like Chemi, in the context of Payoff Debt, is definitely one of the big dogs.
Yeah.
Because obviously the top 2 would be Jack and IAD, but then there's this tier of people like below them that has like 4, 5, 6, however many people. And Chemi's definitely on like the upper end of that.
Yeah, for sure. She definitely is the type of player to be able to learn really fast, because I remember like last year she picked up all parts and like in like 3 months she took 4th. I remember that very distinctly. So definitely a very talented player, but don't want to focus too much on one side. We also have Jpep, the French man himself, the late game RTA master himself, here on the other side.
Yeah, so the story of Jpep in a race setting is, how good is he going to perform in a no reset context, slow loads, set seed context, because out of all the people that are in this tournament, Jpep is definitely the least familiar with this style of running compared to everybody else, at least relative to his skill level.
Yeah, I mean, I do see him running like almost entirely late game RTA. I haven't seen him do a lot of like runs, and I know that his like PB on the boards is not his actual PB too. I don't know whether that's from patch or just whatever reason. So I definitely agree that there might be some unfamiliarity with a full game run here. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. But both of these runners are definitely very skilled. I mean, obviously Chemi is the favorite here, but it's definitely possible for anybody to win this.
Yeah, so
Chemi
like
having some trouble.
yeah. The thing is that we praise Chemi's skill a lot, but the thing about Chemi is that she's probably like the single biggest like risk taker in Pikmin. Like she will just go absolutely in. She's also standing really close for this Louis skip. Oh, and it worked. Okay,
free Louis skip in a race. Interesting.
I thought that if she went for that and got any movement at all, that it would have failed, but it was like just close enough, I guess.
Jpep also struggled to kill the full board there. Not only did he have to like swarm and punch it, but he opened the onion menu in the middle of the fiasco. So runners definitely have some crustiness on that day too. But it's all right. It's the beginning of the run. It happens.
So yeah, I guess
did Jpep go for a Louis skip? I didn't actually catch that.
I think he wanted to, but recognized that he wouldn't really have enough time to get a good setup if he attempted it. But yeah, I guess to like conclude what I was saying, the thing about doing races against someone with a playstyle like Chemi is it's either going to go one of two ways. you're either going to get completely steamrolled and it is not even close, or she can like reset on like 4 floors and then you have a chance of winning all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that she's gonna go for the same like level of risks that she would normally going for runs? Do you think that there's a chance that she might like tone it down within the
Um,
context of a race?
well, I mean, we definitely have a mentality in the community of like race strats and
Yeah.
like what risks are worth taking in a race, because if you take a risk that is like barely time save, but if you fail it, then you have to reset the floor, then generally we say like you shouldn't go for those in races.
Right.
But the thing also is that if you're changing your game plan too much, then you could start bleeding time away from stuff like that as well.
Yeah,
Like
for
if
sure.
Chemi goes into a floor with the mentality of playing it safe, then she might start misplaying and losing time for other reasons.
Yeah, it's easy, like, sure to play, like you said, and Pikmin is one of those games where it's very easy to bleed time in ways that's hard to notice unless you're really paying attention. So, like you said, doing those safe strats, it can really like lead to a lot of like little time losses that add up a lot. So it's just a delicate balance.
Yeah,
Um,
because I would say one of Chemi's biggest advantages over other runners is that she perfected this sort of like hyper aggressive payoff debt playstyle.
mm,
Because the thing about payoff debt is that like you kind of can just go in the second half and not care that hard about like losing 1 or 2 Pikmin every floor.
yep.
Or even if you have a floor where you use like 20 blues or whatever, then it's like literally fine as long as it's not happening more than like once.
That's one of the
So
things that I
she
find interesting about Pod, um, in particular, compared to Pikmin One, is like Pikmin One. Most things is like you have the bare minimum number of Pikmin in most situations to carry everything you need. But in Pod, you typically have an excess in terms of what you actually need to carry. So it's a matter of how do I do things fast, and how can I be okay losing 3 or 4 here, 2 or 3 there, which makes it an interesting dynamic. It's all
yeah.
about using your whites and uh, other Pikmin well too, which just makes it interesting. So
Yeah, and it's a pretty sharp contrast from what most of the other runners in that sort of tier tried to do
oh
when
my gosh,
learning.
mine
Oh,
tights. Give
these
me its
are
mine tights.
okay, so it's at least 3, so she won't. Oh, ooh, 6. That's
Six,
really good
pretty good.
actually. Okay, so if you get Matites, you're losing time for sure. But the thing is that if you get at least 3, then you can mitigate the time loss because you won't have to grow with the dwarf coming up here after the bag.
Yep,
And
yep.
Jpep
You get
getting a
stickers.
Jpep got a double nectar, but luckily only one of them went up on the ledge, so he could use the other one. Kemi has a lot of leaves though, which
Yeah,
is a
I
bit of a
noticed that
problem.
you didn't take the time to make sure that the ones that picked up my tights got leafed after that. Um,
Well, I mean, it's also going to be a little debatable how much it matters because she's going to have extra Pikmin compared to what we normally expect. So, like, every flowered Pikmin that you put on the globe on EC2 is the equivalent of, like, 2 leaf reds, I believe. And the thing is that there's nectar here still left over for these reds, so it's,
oh
you know.
yeah, so it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't work.
So Kemi effectively has, like, 6 extra Pikmin compared to what she would expect at this point in the route. And about the same number of leaf reds that you normally expect.
Those
So,
Pikmin did
yeah.
not. I don't know.
I
Are
don't
they
think
gonna
it
replicate?
matters. I don't think it matters. It's
Oh,
probably like a second or 2 lost, maybe.
gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess in
she.
that context, it matters a lot less because in that case, you're getting the treasure cutscene after going back with Louis. So you're like right there. So it doesn't really
Well, I mean, you could say that like you could just C-sticked full onto the gate and not gone for the treasure cutscene at all, but
yeah.
having it done before EC makes EC1 a lot better because you can start C-sticking your reds ahead and not have the lockout interrupt you when you try to long throw Pikmin here.
Right. True. Yeah. Makes sense.
So even if she lost to having lockout after that above ground cutscene, I feel like it still would have been worth it to have activated it beforehand because it just makes this floor a lot cleaner.
We get close orange. setup here, or close citrus lump. I love that from the last race.
So Jpep only is like 20 seconds or so behind, and given that Jpep didn't get Louis skip, that means it's only really like a 10-second difference in terms of like skill-based time loss or like non-cutscene frame perfect time loss. But you know, who's to say that how much of that can be attributed to Matites or whatever?
True.
Because Chemi had lost time from obviously the Matites and having to do that combat, but she has a bunch of extra Pikmin right now, so she's going to be saving time throughout basically the next like 20-25 minutes or so.
Mhm.
Just,
The
like,
big
tiny
places
little
that it
bits.
probably is going to affect a lot are obviously EC2, the globe carry is going to affect, and then probably the gate on Awakening Wood is probably going to affect it a lot, having extra Pikmin.
Yes, this
that
next
gate is
above ground
notorious
is
for having a fucking absurd amount of health.
yeah, it's going to be a big deal on this next above ground.
Mhm.
Especially because I guess another pretty huge thing that's in Chemi's favor is that she is like, I would venture to say, but probably the best at early game compared to like, or like relative to her skill level. Because I mean, obviously you could argue Jack or IID have strictly faster early games, but given Chemi's skill level, I think she's definitely like a league or two above everybody else
Mhm.
in terms of how much she's pushed to optimize it. And having these reds for that above ground in particular is going to help out a lot because that's an above ground that she stresses a lot and has put a lot of theory into.
Kimi already has globe loaded and carrying the bug to get the cutscene on this floor. I think she got what, 7 purples out, so three here to pluck.
Yeah, the minimum if you want to collect one of these dwarves is that you need to come up here with 7 purples. If you get 8, then you can get both the dwarves, but it's not really worth going out of the way to pluck an 8th one. Just for that, because it's only 2 purples.
And some of it depends on RG too, like just where the plucks like land. Because like
Yeah,
sometimes Louis can just be like a complete idiot and not actually help you.
yeah, if it like naturally happens and you happen to get 8, then you know you're big chillin'. But a neat little tech here that you don't realize until you're like decently invested into running is that like when you throw a purple on something, like it can do one of 3 things. If you throw it like straight onto something, it can like bounce off to the side and then have to run back to grab. You can intentionally miss and throw to the side so the purple like does a quicker land and then runs a little bit to the treasure instead of like bouncing far away. But there's also the hidden third option, which is that you throw the purple right on the edge of the thing so that it like bounces but like stays up against it and it immediately grabs. And that's a nice little bit of time save on EC1 specifically.
That's one of the things I love about the Pikmin series is there's just so many like little things that you would not realize save time. It's just, a fountain of knowledge to be had in these games for sure. So we see Chemi here starting day 5. Jpep still has to go through the end of day cutscene and also pretty considerable lead considering how early on it is. That globe carry definitely helped a lot, I think.
The thing about Pikmin 2 is that the first 8 to 12 minutes really are like one of the hardest parts of the run to get really fast at. Like the difference between like an 8-minute enter EC and like an 8:20 is pretty huge and honestly kind of RNG dependent at the top level a little bit. But it's also really, really difficult to get to that point where it's those little tiny minute differences. Like when you're brand new to this game, you'll be getting like 10-minute enters or whatever. And that's kind of just going to happen because the early game is very particular about how it works. But yeah, I think the amount of time that Jpep is behind hasn't really changed since the EC enter. So he's keeping it pretty close. even little tiny things like Jpep could have thrown those initial reds from further away and saved time. Just something that Chemi likes to stress to people. Like she's pretty significantly better at this split compared to every other runner. And a lot of it comes down to tiny things like that, because when you have such a big limiting factor on this split, like that gate, like the only real ways that you can speed it up is by getting your reds there earlier. And a lot of it comes down to like the fact that this segment is like a Pikmin 1 style growth segment where you just have to be so particular and precise. Ooh, Jpep had some things not get carried. Well, unfortunately.
Chemi has a really good setup here for the Nectar. Landed a pretty convenient spot right here. And gets the kill. I think she lost one.
Maybe she did, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I mean, she already had 6 extra, so yeah.
The thing though is that these extra reds are gonna make Empress a little tricky.
Interesting. I would think that more would make it more consistent. What is
Well, the thing about Empress is that, and this is true for pretty much every enemy in the game that will like shake your Pikmin off. But the thing is that like they have a calculation of like how many Pikmin hits they take before they go into the state of like, okay, I want to get this Pikmin off. And it's not really like it's not based on the damage so much as it's based on the amount of hits. And the thing about Empress is that if you get too many hits on before getting all the damage you need, then she's gonna shake your Pikmin off sooner, and then the trick won't work.
Jpep messed up that early Brona kill and had to take the time to swarm it, and then it got one, so he had to take the time to whistle that. So losing a little bit of time there on that.
Yeah, honestly, if it wasn't a purple, then I would say you could just enter without it.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. That because like if you just enter without it, it's just gonna go back in the onion, and like it's not like you're losing it, So.
Well, I mean, you never take reds out again unless you have a disaster, so you effectively lose that red. But I think it's faster in that instance because you'd have to wait there for like 4 seconds or something to get it back.
Yep.
Now, if it was a purple, then it loses. Oh, like it's a little more close because you want all 20 purples on the next enter.
Yeah.
And being down a purple for the next like 25-30 minutes isn't great either, so it's probably worth it to wait if it is a purple. But yeah, if it's a red, then you pretty much just should say -1 red and keep going.
Bubble Beast 3 is one of those floors that, like, it has a couple different layouts that affect, like, the direction things are, but, like, the treasures are always, like, the floppy disk is always in that back room, and then the Mahjong piece is always in that little cave there. So it's pretty much static how you play it most of the time, right?
Yeah, the only difference is that on some configurations, it's faster to, like, C-stick 25 reds into the front of the floppy disk and then leave immediately. And then on some layouts, it's faster to like go around the side with your reds so they pick it up sooner.
Interesting.
Because it pretty much just depends on like C-sticking your reds around the side and making them or like all around the treasure and making them pick it up sooner is faster for getting this moving. But it depends on if you can still have the Mahjong piece get in before that.
Right, yeah.
Because if it's not going to get in before it, then you want to be out of there sooner so that you can get the Mahjong piece moving sooner.
Chemi recognizing here that this is a kind of layout where you need to split up and send some to get the card early.
I'm honestly a pretty big believer of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just faster on a lot of layouts like this one. It's also really nice because all of this stuff is going to get in while you're waiting for the card. So
Yeah.
you're getting the Matites for free and the Nectar for free.
Yeah, a lot of bugs here getting both the body and the Mitites. I know that there's a rule for which alcove the Mitites are in, like relative to the orientation of the room, right? What is?
Okay,
I've heard it before.
so the room is a big oval, and the white tile on the ground that's a square leans to one side always. So what you do is you look at what side of the room that's on, and then go to the opposite side. And the alcove on the opposite side has the highest priority for the Matites. And then if there's something there that's blocking it, then you go clockwise around the room from there. Okay, yeah. So I think Chemi is doing good with this because she left some Pikmin off so she wouldn't have those attacking and adding to the counter of the amount of hits.
And really lucky drop on that treasure.
Ooh,
Pretty close.
so the problem with it being on the side like that is it has to path into the middle before it can go towards the ship.
Yeah,
Is it
true.
the waypoints? It's still good. It's better than it being all the way over here towards the geyser. It's just that there's a bit better placements for that because, you know, it having to go back into the middle and then towards the ship is a little slower than if it were just in the middle.
Yep.
But that was still really good for Chemi.
Yeah, that was really good. I'm interested to see Jpep. Jpep waited a little bit there for a couple of those extra Mitites. Really
Yeah, I think the
security on the bugs.
He did the right thing in going for the card first with a solo captain, but I think he had some issues with like the order of stuff he did after that. Okay, so what Jpep is going to go for here is a setup that he and J7 came up with for this, which is using visual cues and stuff to get a particular timing.
Nice.
And that was really good. Oh, and also a really good placement here. Oh, I don't know why.
Looking up why do you whistle the purples there?
Yeah, I don't know why we're messing with this.
Treasure. But
Well, the thing is that you can't have Pikmin pick up these treasures until after the cutscene plays. So what I'm assuming the worry was with that is that he was afraid that like he would have the body come in second, but then he like tried to sit there fixing it a bunch, and it's just I would have just left it and waited for the body at that point. Yeah, Chemi on this White Fire Garden 1. Fortunately, bad RNG, so -1 second, and the possibility of deaths on this floor is a lot higher. Luckily, nobody died.
This floor is one of those floors that like is pretty free to collect a lot of bug bodies if you play it right, you know, because the limiting factor here is the treasure, and especially if it's the far treasure, like the far orientation where it's like all directly across, you know, you have a lot of like time, even if it's a max carry, to collect most of the bugs. So
okay, I see what Jpep was going for on this enter, but I don't really agree with it because the Pikmin were swerving a lot as he was doing those swaps. And also this is a thing that could have been done a little better because the purples just didn't want to go the right way.
Yep.
Yeah, generally what we do is we just C-stick straight ahead until we get to the bag area. Oh, it's the throws layout, but she doesn't go for the throws. Minus like 2 to 4 seconds. Yeah, you can line up long throws to throw Pikmin across the gap to that farther player. And I'm really surprised she didn't go for it because she has extra Pikmin too, so even if she had deaths, it wouldn't be that bad. And Jpep doing the cooler tech where you enter as a Louie, which is nice on layouts where you have one treasure one way on the next floor and one treasure the other way, because then you can just bump some Pikmin with Louie and run instead of having to whistle and make sure you leave a captain and stuff like that. Obviously not going to make a difference on this seed because we already know what the floor looks like. But yeah, that's the idea.
I'm interested to see if Jpep recognizes the long throw. Looks like no. Looks like he's going all the way over too.
Julian, so starting as a Louis is better on floors like those where it's, well, obviously not on this layout, but if it were like split, where one treasure is past where the hole is in that alcove and one is in the other alcove the other way, it's better on those because when you start a floor as a Louis, Olimar is not in your party. But if you start a floor as Olimar, then Louis is in your party by default. So if you start the floor as Olimar and get that layout, then you have to whistle switch, or you have to like whistle everyone and then dismiss and then whistle only some of your reds, and then that in that scenario it's like way worse. The whistle switch isn't much worse. It's just like easier if you enter as a Louis to like, if you've recognized that it's that layout, you can just bump some Pikmin and immediately start running instead of having to turn around and whistle.
Yep.
Yes. People, when they're new, like, because the game doesn't tell you directly that there's any difference between the two captains. But there is that one. There's also the fact that when you enter a floor as a Louis, you have a few extra seconds, or not seconds, you have a few extra frames. It feels like a whole second sometimes because we're used to the Olimar timing. But you have a few frames where you can't input any buttons as Louis compared to if you entered as Olimar. And then they also have different hitboxes, which is relevant. Only in one spot. Like, we route around it to make sure it's never a problem, but if you didn't account for it, then you could encounter problems when you did, like, knapsacks on above grounds.
This, by Flower Garden 4 is really bad.
Yeah, this is pretty much worst possible White Flower Garden 4. The classic worst possible, because this configuration's pretty common. Like, there are some configurations that are super rare that are slower than this, but yeah, this configuration's pretty easy to tell that's worst possible. It's also really easy to read.
I noticed that Chemi, like, full sent the whole squad into that poison gate instead of, like, splitting, grabbing whites, and going on, which is, like, obviously it's fine because you can whistle him, but there is some risk involved because if you do activate the poison cutscene, you're kind of screwed on EV.
Yeah. I mean, the way that we get around that is by just, like, turning around. Like, we obviously, if you're going for that, then you know that that's a thing,
Yeah.
so you would anticipate it and, like, turn around and whistle immediately.
Yep.
And keep C-sticking forward.
Yep.
But yeah, it is faster than if you would just sit at spawn and dismiss.
Yeah, which is
like the Jpep is doing right now, mostly because if you saw, all his whites had to like slowly separate from the other colors because of the way that dismissing works. So when you press the dismiss button and you have a squad of Pikmin, it's true if you only have one color, but it's more pronounced when you have a mixed squad of colors. But they will each pick a point away from any other Pikmin in the squad and which points they'll be picking. And also, it has to be a set distance away from the captains. So the Pikmin will try to like push through each other and get to those points as fast as they can. But if they're like blocking each other, then you have what a Jpep experienced, where they just like slowly separate into their groups. They're not really separated cleanly that much. So the advantage of what Chemi did is that she could C-stick her Pikmin super far ahead before dismissing, and so she had the whites super far ahead of all the other colors. And then the dismiss was a lot more clean. Another way you could do it is you can just grab a Pikmin and throw it, and that'll organize the squad by color, and then when you dismiss, it will generally be pretty clean by that point. So we got Chemi going for early blues here. She did save after White Flower Garden 5, so no disasters will be permanent. So Jpep, I guess, missed the one cycle. It took longer than it should have.
So we are using patch for this tournament. EB patch, meaning that during this EB trick where they're going to knapsack such that they land in the blue onion area, there is a chance that you get a soft lock and can't do anything, but the patch that we're using allows that to not happen. So there is some added consistency there, but still definitely a trick that is possible to mess up. So Chemi hits it there. So that save was not necessary, but definitely good for a safety save. I mean,
Yeah, you definitely should always do it in a race, even when you're using patch.
Yeah.
Even just as like a courtesy thing, because like you don't want the race to just be in like shambles if you mess it up. Because if you don't save, then you'll just be going back to White Flower Garden 5 and have to do that whole floor again. So it loses another minute and a half on top of what you already lost by failing the trick. It was like 5th try blue carry or something for Chemi, which isn't bad.
Jpep starting the same section. Oh, he does not get the red up there.
Yeah, but there's a pretty quick backup for that.
I didn't know the range for the grabs was that big in this game.
It's only like a few Olimar widths away, and I think it's a spherical range, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't be like a million miles higher and have it still work. You can be a little bit higher and have it still work, obviously, because we have that backup for Enter BK as well. Because sometimes the Pikmin don't want to come up with us to cask, and we have to do that. Yeah. It's in contrast to Pikmin 1, Wii and Switch, where you can swap Pikmin from anywhere on the map.
Yeah, as long as they're in your party, they will just show up.
Yeah, pretty clean enter from Chemi. She lost to the gate, but she had extra Pikmin, which means that it was expected that she would lose to the gate, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense, because more Pikmin on there are gonna, yeah, makes sense.
I wonder if she knows about the setup to get the quick wake up. It looks like no. But it's okay, because it's only like half a second or a second of time loss from a slow wake up. Because yeah, these sleeping enemies will only wake up at a particular point in their sleep cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to how a dwarf Boborb will only start like chasing after you after a certain point in its like turning cycle. But yeah, it turns out that on floors like SH1 that are always the same, that orange Bulborb is loaded at the exact same point every time. So you can do some camera setups to always get the quick wake up if you got the sauce like that. But if you don't do it, then it's only like a little bit of time loss on average.
Interesting.
Well, this has potential to be a really good 2, especially because nothing's over in that side room.
Ooh, that split did not quite work out.
So yeah, the strawberry should just be like straight over here, and then this RNG will be really fast. I would kill all this stuff, honestly.
Oh, Chemi lost purple there. Wait.
Yeah, 1 purple. 1 for it. I don't know about killing this, but it's fine. Because the thing is that you're probably not collecting this mum if you do kill it. But yeah, she just probably didn't want there to be any issues because it was so close to the strawberry.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the stuff in front of the strawberry is less likely to collect as well, I think killing that stuff was also the correct decision.
Yeah, that was just like a very tight-knit group of enemies that, takes some time to deal with, but especially in a race, like, if you just gun it, like, there's definitely a decent likelihood that they fuck up something, I mean, there were like 3 bugs, a burn, and like the mum, all within a very, very small range of each other, Jpep, really fast split there.
Yeah, I think something that we pushed for like a few years ago is optimizing that split and other instances of split ups like that. Because the thing that people used to do is they would just they would throw their Pikmin, they would dismiss, and then like walk to the side with one of their captains, and then switch to the other captain, and then get their squad going.
Mhm.
But the thing with that is that you have a bunch of lockout when you switch captains, so it's not the fastest thing. But what they did there on this floor, both of them did it, is that when you whistle Pikmin, you can't dismiss the Pikmin that you whistled for a certain amount of time. It's like a second or something. It's the same whistle switch mechanic that Pikmin 1 has.
Mhm.
It's just that the thing that they did here that's different is that captains do not have that delay. So you can whistle a squad of Pikmin and then dismiss your captain in that time window so that you have your Pikmin with you, but you leave the captain in place. And that's really convenient in instances like that. This is good at SH4 RNG as well, and Chemi recognized it. She went into this room a little bit, and the gauge stayed pretty much the same. So it was a pretty clear indicator that the beetle with the treasure would also be in there.
One thing I did want to point out that Jpep did that I really liked on that SH2 was while he was fighting the Bronit and the two bugs there, he actually threw a red into the mum range to wake it up, so that by the time he was done with combat, the mum had already like tried to eat the red, fallen over, and he could just go about collecting the strawberry. So little tiny optimization there that I really like to see.
Yeah, I would say that was a lot better than what Chemi did. I mean, the thing is that, like, when you have two different people doing two different runs, it's kind of hard to just say, like, oh, well, Chemi should have done this. Because I think there was some indecision from Chemi on that, about, like, how much she should have killed on that SH2.
Right.
But given the fact that she decided to end up killing them anyway, then yeah, I think Jpep definitely handled it better.
Yeah. I mean, this game, it's very easy to like make a decision that like if you sat down at the floor and looked at it for a minute, you're like, oh, I should just do this, you know. But like in a run, you kind of just have to do it, you know. And it's very easy to make a decision that wouldn't be quite as fast as what you would make in an optimal scenario, but you just kind of have to, you know, grow that game instinct and get better at making those kind of calls in the heat of the moment, you know. So
Okay, so the thing about how Jpep played this is that he had the read as well on where the beetle would be, but he didn't get the marble moving before starting the beetle combat, which is in contrast to what Chemi did, where Chemi started the marble and then went and checked the rest of the room so she could like hard focus putting whites on the magnet instead.
Mhm.
Which obviously you want your whites to be on the thing that's going to be last. So by basic Pikmin 2 economics, I would say that Chemi had the right idea there on that SH4. Jpep also killed the extra cannon beetle that didn't have the treasure, which was a little bit of time loss. Especially because it didn't end up... well, one was getting carried back. I didn't see if it was the one with the treasure or if it was the other one. But yeah, if you didn't collect it, then that would also be added lost cause, or like, I don't, opportunity cost is the word I was looking for. It took me a while to find it.
looks like Kimmy is taking. Oh, gets lucky on lands.
But yeah, this is good positioning. I think both of them will check that spot because it's in the room that's on the way to the hole.
Right. Yeah.
If it were, like, Chemi threw a Pikmin the other way into the other room, which is good because even though it lost time to do that because it wasn't actually there, a pattern that we've found is that a lot of the time Lens ends up being in one of those like weird spots that's like barely out of reach from where you'll be inclined to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the cost of throwing like one red into that room isn't very high. So yeah, Chemi just, you know, took like half a second time loss to potentially save like 40. But then found Lens anyway, so it was still good.
Kimmy did lose 2 purples there to the Snagret on the way to the hole. Not sure how much that's going to affect things, because she also lost 1 on SH2, so she's now down 3 total from this cave.
Yeah, that could end up mattering. I think she'll still have enough for this above ground, because you have like, if you don't have any deaths, then you have like 5 or 6 more than you need by the time you get to the globe. But if you lost a few purples, there are a few in the ship that you could take out for safety.
Mhm.
It's like Jpep also finding this lens, which is to be expected because the common Pikmin 2 theory on this floor is that you should be checking those spawn points in that room because it's pretty likely to be there because of how many spawn points there are in that little hallway. So yeah, both of them have it, which is pretty good. What you want to see in races is either both runners having it or neither runner having it.
Yeah.
Because it can get a little lopsided if only one person found it.
Mm-hmm. Then it's hard to tell, like, obviously you're going to have like a big poker lead if one player gets and the other doesn't, but obviously you have to include the count of time that it takes to actually get lens. So if one person like just immediately ran to the hole and the other person collects it, it's hard to kind of tell who's in the lead until later, until you actually use lens to get a skip on something, you know. So in this case, both runners will be neck and neck in that regard.
Chemi also has 18 blues. I think Jpep also grew 18 blues.
Yeah, both of them only got 1 pellets.
Yeah, I mean the standard amount that we usually see is 16, but if you're fast on that enter and get a good blue carry, then you could opt to do 18, which will save a little bit of time back on this split. Neither runner nectaring their whites either. Or wait, I guess we didn't see from Jpep, but Jpep didn't do it on SH7, which I noticed. But Chemi also didn't opt to take this glint. I wonder if Jpep will take the glint. Because
that's hitting it a second time to get nectar.
Yeah, you can pop it immediately after it pops out the pellets, and it will spawn some nectar. And you're losing a little bit of time on average, especially because Jpep's going to have 18 blues. So he'll lose to the bridge if he does it. But having these whites be flowered is so crucial for the next like 15 to 20 minutes that usually most runners will say you should probably nectar at least somewhere between the middle of Snaggered Hole and the end of BK. Chemi also with a nice above ground here overall. It's definitely nice to see someone not getting cutscened and stuff. Also speeding up this globe is very good, especially because of how early she did it and how many Pikmin she had available to do it with. That speed up on that globe is definitely saving some time.
Yeah, this is definitely really well played by Chemi. This background, everything's collecting at pretty much nearly the same time.
Yeah. The only blemish that I see right now is that the Pilgrim bulb is going to be a little behind.
Mm-hmm.
But she could swap that carry out and put 1 purple on it if she wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's going to be a little scary though, because she's going to have like I think she'll be down like 4 purples total than a normal run going into BK.
Yeah, true. Even more aggressive on that regard.
But Jpep threw one of his whites on accident. Well, unfortunate. So yeah, normally, yeah, you just want to get rid of all your blues, get them growing stuff while you're doing the knapsacks and stuff. Unfortunately, we do that menuing so fast normally that it's pretty prone to making mistakes if you're not careful. Because the GameCube controller D-pad sometimes is a fickle mistress and likes to swap Pikmin the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jpep also played this above ground pretty clean.
I noticed also Jpep got all 3 5 pellets versus, which in his case was 2 reds and a blue, and Chemi only got 1 blue and 1 red, so potentially a little bit of a lead in numbers depending on how he plays the rest of this.
Oh, does that mean Chemi left one in the pot?
Yeah. One bounced in like the pot in a weird way and she's taking it.
Oh, then that's gonna be... She's now at like -5 purples total, I think, compared to expected. Because if she threw a purple on that pellet and it didn't get off the pot, then that purple's not coming in.
No, I think she didn't like even bother with it. Like she saw the bounce and didn't throw a purple to get it.
Oh,
Just
Jpep might do a cool thing here. If he throws a purple on the cask, then that purple will collect the cask, but it will also then collect the strawberry that he left right next to the ship for 2 treasures for the price of 1 purple. Okay, no, never mind. He's just gonna get both of them right now. I'm actually a little surprised he didn't do the purple swap because we've made a pretty big deal about that for Enter SCX as of recently. And it's pretty much the exact same concept right there if he would have had his head in the right place to go for that.
Chemi played that BK2 really well. She actually threw some reds up there in the section where you have to like C-stick the whites onto the treasure. But she was able to C-stick well enough to get only the whites on it, and then dealt with the fire after and got lucky on the bug not deciding to mess around with it. Also throwing just 1 purple exactly on the first bug and just going, knowing that the purple would just deal with it.
Yeah, if you hit that Dweevil with a purple one-shot, it will kill the Dweevil because it's guaranteed to stun as well. So you have all that extra time where the Dweevil can't decide to shake a Pikmin off or anything.
Yep.
A little thing Chemi could have gone for if the fire weren't so annoying is that she could have tried to collect that Dweevil. Because if you kill it on the way in, then you can just chuck some whites over there and it'll collect before the diamond. For free, basically. Chemi didn't quite go all the way into that candy cane, but I'm assuming she knows it's here if she's playing it like this. Yeah. The gauge was pretty high off spawn, and I don't think from how high it was off spawn that it could have possibly not had a treasure be over there, because she went towards the candy cane, and there was the Wollywug over there, so I think she had the knowledge by the time she had decided on a game plan, which was good.
Chemi also used that interesting tech of like deloading electric gates such that like she was zoomed in and you literally just booked it to that like after dealing with the frog and then heading over to the glint. Like she was zoomed in and just held C-stick up, knowing that the cycle was such that she would be able to swarm the electric gate, and deal with it. Really interesting tech that you could deload those. Risky,
Yeah, it was,
of course.
It was a really
Unless
good
you know
play.
what you're doing.
Yeah, so the thing about those is that like they are completely predictable. Like it's scary to go for that stuff, but it is completely predictable.
Yeah.
So when an electric gate gets deloaded, it will always finish its cycle and not start a new one until you load it again. And the electric cycle starts when it's completely off, like when it's initially completely off. So if you deload it while it's on and not load it again, then you can rush in like Chemi did and know that it won't turn on again before you have the chance to completely kill it. And it's a little scary because obviously Pikmin can also load them, so you have to be really good at your C-sticking. And you know, you have to be really calculated when you do stuff like that. Otherwise, you're just gonna instantly kill the run.
Yep. Chemi also starting to suffer some of the consequences of not having a lot of purple. She only had like 6 purples to deal with that fight against the orange Bulborb, and because of that, ended up losing 2 whites from it.
Yeah.
Hoping to not see some of that snowball effect happen, which is very, very common to, you lose some here, which causes you to lose some here, and so forth. That adds up.
It also didn't really help matters that she left like half of her purples on the first.
Yeah.
The first one. But I mean, like it's like the alternative strat would have just been going to the skull first, but then the problem with doing that is that you have to take like your whole squad in to do that, and then take your whole squad out, and then it's not really faster than the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that she did it at least collected the bugs, which was nice.
Yeah.
Jpep's pretty much just a BK6 behind, and this is like a minute and a half BK6 because the RNG is pretty good. Jpep saw the skull immediately, so I imagine that he will be going here first. Because the difference in what Chemi did is that Chemi went the other way first and saw the gauge go up. So she knew that it was the bulb orb in that room that had the treasure. But the difference in what Jpep is doing is Jpep already knew where the skull was. So he's just going the way where he saw that there was a treasure for sure. Instead of going a way and just checking for stuff in that room like Chemi did. And the advantage is that if Jpep got lucky, then the bulb orb in that room that he had to kill first would have had the treasure, and then it would have been really good RNG. This is still pretty good RNG because you can just lure this guy back to spawn, and then it's pretty nice. Yeah, okay, he'll get one of these bulb orb bodies, which is pretty good. But yeah, I think what Jpep did is what I would consider as far as like Pikmin 2 theoretical plays would go. Like I would consider that to be the better thing to be like your primary play. Because he went to somewhere that he knew there was a treasure. So when you do that, you're never gonna go somewhere useless first, which is pretty much the thing that you want to avoid at all costs. Because if you start a floor and then immediately go somewhere that's useless, then you just wasted all that time with nothing else happening and being multitasked. So that's pretty much like the big no-no is you never want to go like a useless direction if you can help it.
Yep.
Now, obviously, in Chemi's case, she would have taken like 3 steps into that room and known that that bulb orb didn't have the treasure if the gauge didn't go up. But, you know, time loss is time loss, as they say. She probably, like, the gauge, I imagine she wouldn't have gone that way if she didn't have gauge info, like, inside the spawn room, though. So it's not like she just made, like, the objectively incorrect play. It's just one of those things that you could get punished for sometimes if you play every floor like that. But, you know, Chemi's smart runner. She's probably not. She probably wouldn't have made that play if she didn't have that info. She probably would have, like, low-cammed and looked at the rest of the floor, I imagine. Okay, so 15 whites only is a little low for Chemi. You normally expect to have at least 20 here.
Yeah, because she did not grow on SH6, but did grow on 2. So that's 20 there, and she, I assume, lost 5 at some points throughout that?
Yeah, I think BK6 is what you
she
pointed
lost
out. I
4
don't know where the
BK6.
other whites were
Yeah,
lost.
I was not paying attention to that. I did not see her lose other whites.
But yeah, we pretty much, like, every single run, we grow on SH2. Like, in the older days, it was pretty much just like, you know, people hadn't routed out like the Pikmin numbers as much, but eventually people realized that those whites are pretty crucial, especially for how early they are. So yeah, pretty much every single run. Yeah, go ahead.
Worth noting that they are really, really close in bug count. They've been playing pretty similarly. Jpep is at 50-32 out of Awakening Wood, and Chemi was at 50-39. So they have a very similar number of bugs, definitely within like a, you know, similar range to each other. So neither player has like a significant advantage in that regard.
Yeah, and I think a pretty big reason why that is because Jpep has studied Chemi a lot on his come up to becoming good. Like I would say Jack and Chemi were probably the 2 runners that Jpep took the most inspiration from by far and has studied the most. And for pretty good reason, obviously. Jack is the world record holder and Chemi is like has been pretty active ever since Jpep started and is in like that top echelon of runners that are not Jack and IID. So, you know, it makes sense. Whereas, like, I mean, someone like myself took inspiration from, like, IAD urban app. So like who you see running when you're starting and who you decide to like watch and copy strats from will pretty heavily determine whose play style yours resembles the most.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Although I would say that
Ghostly in. Sorry, you go ahead.
yeah, it's pretty also worth noting that like you sort of develop your own play style as well when you get to that top level. Like I would say Jpep also by this point has a pretty distinct play style from everyone else. But if you had to pin it on like who's it most closely represents, then yeah, you could point to Jack and Chemi's playstyle for that, I would say.
Ghostly did mention that Chemi lost some on SA6 to Cannon Beetle, hitting the magnet. So it's possible that that's where the other 3 white deaths came from.
That's interesting because that's pretty rare as well. Because Cannon Beetles shooting Pikmin off treasures is not very common.
Yeah, they're pretty bad at it.
Chemi doing pretty well on this above ground so far. I think our standards for this above ground went up a lot in the last few months. So we started like super analyzing the little details on this above ground.
Oh, got some.
Oh yeah, a little bit of delay, but I mean, it's the above ground's pretty decided by this point. You just got these throws, and then the knapsack, and then yeah. Even if we miss a little bit of this, it's
Are bridge ranges the same in Pikmin 2 as 1?
Well, bridges don't really have like ranges where like, so in Pikmin 1, if you have Pikmin on a bridge, then like there's certain amounts of Pikmin that will do the same damage as other amounts. Like if you have like 41 to 50 Pikmin on a bridge, I believe is one of them. Like I don't remember them off the top of my head, but I think that is one of them.
Yeah.
Like 41 to 50 Pikmin, let's say, like they'll do the same amount of damage, and they won't start having a faster impact on the bridge until you put on that 51st Pikmin. I do not believe that's the case in Pikmin 2. Instead, what Pikmin 2 has is that if you've entered a cave or just like ended the day and left the area already, and it's your second or later time in that area, then only the first segment of the bridge will have any health.
Mm-hmm.
And all the other bridges will essentially have like one hit left on them. So yeah, that's why you don't need quite that many Pikmin for bridges like this one. In the Switch version, they actually removed that little bug. So now you do actually need to take out every health segment of every bridge that you break, instead of just the first one.
Interesting, yeah. Because I mean, this bridge right here, there's like literally never a scenario where you would ever get to it after this before entering a cave, So it's like it will never.
Yeah.
Be,
It looks like this will be a pretty easy read on this SCX1 for Chemi. Typically, when you have layouts like these, where it's like you leave the spawn room and then immediately there's a crescent room like this, it's pretty easy to tell, especially because the tape was also like right in front there in a separate alcove, and obviously one of these is going to have the hole, or the hole can be in the spiral room, and then it's an even easier read. Also getting some bugs here, which is nice. Yeah, Jpep kept the difference about the same. For the last like few sections of the run, Jpep's kept it about the same, which is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, Jpep in general has been playing really, really well this race. It's just that Chemi is playing phenomenally, at least from what I can tell, in this race. So, despite playing good, doesn't matter if your opponent's playing even better.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you got to be on your A++ game to beat Chemi in a race.
Chemi dealt with those flying enemies so well. In this game, for enemies that like float in the air, like Dirigibugs or either the Snitch Bugs or anything, literally just throwing one purple is enough to deal with them, because that the part where they like come back up and like think about shaking, they'll never shake if they have even one purple on them. So just throwing one purple is enough. And on the way into loading the treasures in that room, she really quickly got 3 purples on the 3 enemies that she needed to deal with, and then just go about your business. Because at that point they won't bother your Pikmin. So really good way to handle that.
Yeah, that was handled really good. It's also tricky on floors like this one because when the ground is slanted, it's even harder to hit
Yeah,
enemies with
exactly.
purples.
Because they're a set distance height from the ground, and if you are like lower, then they are higher relative to you. And because purples have like a different arc than the rest of the Pikmin, they go like more forward. It can make it harder to land that.
Okay, Chemi is opting to grow whites here, which I think is a good decision.
Yeah, I agree, especially only having 15.
Except the layout's kind of weird because the white flower was right outside of spawn and then it's split like this. So I don't know actually what the right order of operations would be. Because the thing is that this combat takes a while, but Chemi kept her whites for it, which was good, but then, like, it's gonna get moving a lot later, so it's kind of weird. It's probably good, though, still, because it shouldn't be that far behind the other 2 treasures, because it's pretty close to spawn still.
I mean, in a split layout like this, right? I mean, the alternative would be maybe, like, kill the enemy and then load it after loading the other ones or something, but I feel like just dealing with these 2 other treasures first is probably faster, because the alternative of dealing with them after is probably going to be slower considering you don't have whites.
Yeah, it's also probably the better idea because Chemi left her captain for the hole over here instead of... Like, if she did it the other way around, then she would have either had to backtrack with a captain after the beetle combat, or she would have had to backtrack from the white flower all the way over to the hole. So
yeah.
It's pretty good. Also, the dig on the gear takes a surprising amount of time, so getting that started first was also pretty good. Jpep might opt to do something different because he probably will not have to grow whites.
I'm interested to see if Chemi grows all 15 here.
Oh, Jpep actually will still be growing these whites, which is interesting. Might be like a race mentality thing. I don't think he had to deal with that fire at all, but it's fine.
Yeah. Looks like both runners come to the same conclusion that,
Yeah.
do the split layout, throw some into for the flower, and then get the spring in the gear, and then go deal with the combat after.
It's really hard on 3 because of how complicated it is. Oh, even had some space left off to put whites on that, which is interesting. Yeah. I don't know if that was better because the combat treasure is going to be pretty far behind now because there's not many whites on that. But
yeah, this is one of the few floors where there's 3 treasures. There's only a couple of them in pod. So the more treasures there are, the more like complex it has to be in terms of managing your limiting factors and determining what order to do things. So definitely a hard floor to think through.
Yeah, the hard thing.
Has a bunch of those. It has 6 and 7, which also have 3 treasures.
This 6 does not look very good. Luckily, that big room had nothing in it, so Chemi did not have to go over there at all.
Amazing.
Oh, that was really clean.
Oh my gosh.
I would just kill all of this, honestly, yeah. Just absolutely murder everything in this room. I don't know if those purples are going to deal with that Dweevil. Okay, they did. They got shaken off, but they still dealt with the Dweevil.
And all 3 treasures are in this room too, so definitely worth it to take the time to kill the beetles and everything.
Getting these bugs too, that was really clean.
Was so good. Really
but
good. Like
this might be a little scary with these anodes that spawn. So she probably won't just run straight over the hole and leave the Pikmin there. Oh no, she will. And okay, she's losing all her whites for it. Yep.
Oh no.
That's why I didn't think
Does
she would
the
do
beetle
it, but she
cycle
did
still
it
happen
anyway.
during the cutscene?
She might not lose that many whites because it was like right at the end of the cutscene. Okay, she lost
Oh
like
my gosh,
1 or 2.
bailed.
Yeah, it was like right at the end of its cycle, so she didn't get like all her whites destroyed by that.
Mhm.
I don't know actually if they continue sparking during that cutscene. I
Yeah,
know
'cause I know like
electric
if it's like
wire
an
will.
electric gate, it does keep going during the cutscene, but I don't know if it like leaves off where it left off during that. I don't know exactly how that works with the
The
bug.
thing about electric wire in cutscenes is that it's still loaded. But I don't think it kills Pikmin that weren't
Yeah.
on the treasure until the cutscene's over.
Mhm.
So like what we do in situations like those to try and save it is we can like delay ending the treasure cutscene until the cycle is at a better spot.
Mhm.
Okay, Jpep's going this way first. Unfortunately, he did not look at that other room, so he's just going here for no reason.
Yeah, there is absolutely nothing here. He gets
Honestly, it
a
was
bug or two out of it.
honestly I can't blame him that hard because like when you see a big room on this floor, like it's pretty likely something's gonna be in there. Okay, if I were Jpep, I would try and
You
keep
gotta
that
deal with that
stuff
bomb.
deloaded. Well, because the bomb can blow up the Dweevil like that. Oh, and then
Oh!
that's unfortunate. He might
Yeah, that's
reset
gonna be
the floor.
reset.
Yeah.
Yep. Good decision on that reset, yeah.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing. Okay, so that bomb dropping was actually good, despite what it may seem, because
Mhm.
Dweevil kind of caused Chemi a bit of trouble. Because you have to kill that Dweevil, or at least like keep repeatedly stunning it, but that would be slower. So what Jpep did is he let the bomb there try to blow up the Dweevil and kill it, so he didn't have to do it himself.
Right.
And unfortunately, he left Pikmin there loading the flipped anode beetle, or else the bomb would have killed it. But instead, what happened is that the beetle flipped back over and started sparking with that anode, and that's why Jpep ran straight into that.
Missing the purple throw.
See, I unironically think that Chemi handled this a lot better by just nuking everything in that room before
Yeah,
using the
exactly.
treasures. Because now these anodes and this Dirigi are still going to be a problem. That's 5 blues and a few purples. It's not the end of the world.
I mean, the fact that Kimmy was able to get purples on the Dirigibugs before they spawn bombs, like obviously, you talked about earlier that that's gonna lose a little bit of time to having to deal with the gosh, I never remember the name, the spiders. But it has the benefit of that's like one layer of thing you don't have to deal with. You don't have to think about, oh, there's a bomb here. I need to make sure my Pikmin are out of the range.
So yeah,
So
that was definitely pretty big still.
yeah.
Okay, I don't know why Chemi still has the scrap here, but things happen, I guess. I would honestly, because they have lens, they probably could have gotten it after FC. Because now look what's gonna happen with the money. So the bear statue is 160 Pokos.
Mhm.
So Chemi is at 6841. So she's gonna get that treasure collected and then get the 70% cutscene and lose 6 seconds from that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think what Chemi actually could have done is collected both of them after FC and skipped that percentage cutscene, because it's only they are only at risk of getting the 70% cutscene because they have lens.
Mhm.
So, and then because they have lens, it means that they're going to be well enough over, I think, or well, maybe not actually. I was thinking maybe they could avoid 70% entirely and get 80% after FC, but I don't think if you skip both of them. But the thing is that you almost always collect the fossil on this split, so I think it might have just been better to get the scrap after instead. Not sure. I think both of them did the far and away correct thing on the 7, by the way, which is doing the combat last. And getting this tape with whites, that was actually the first thing that Jpep got moving, and it seems kind of counterintuitive to put whites on the first thing and get this in super early. But the reason why it's good is because Jpep's going to do this combat and then run back to spawn and get those whites and put them on this treasure. So these whites pull double duty on this floor, which is really good.
Interesting. Okay. Typically, that's not something you see. Typically, you
Oh, but he's losing those whites, I think.
it's close.
But he grew extra whites, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little unfortunate.
Oh,
or maybe they did die. They must have been like pixels away from dying.
Yeah, it was really close. I noticed also that on Enter FC, Chemi actually took the time to wait for Ursa cutscene, despite the fact that she had to wait like 4 or 5 seconds. What's the reasoning for that versus just like immediately loading it the second you come back after FC?
Well, the thing about loading it when you come back is that the way that the waypoints are structured above ground means that where the fossil gets placed after FC is not going to be like inside the ship's radius. It's going to be like a little bit further away. And if you get it after the cave, then you have to like whistle all your Pikmin, and then you have the lockout where you can't C-stick them on immediately.
Yeah.
So it takes like 4 or 5 seconds just to get it moving, and then it has to move into the ship. So
right.
Chemi waited for like 4 seconds or something there, but it was on average probably just faster to wait for it to get in. It's kind of a judgment call thing. Like, if the fossil is going to be like miles away, then you should just enter. Like, if you're going to be waiting like 8 seconds or something for it, then you probably should just enter and get it after. Because then you can use your whites and mitigate the time loss as well. Jpep deciding to get out reds, which is honestly probably the correct decision. Because if he didn't do that, then he would be entering FC with like 60-something. This 2 is really good, I think. Chemi, I think, is doing the safe thing and just killing this because normally these guys aren't that big of a problem, but that guy was in the spawn room and could have just seen a bunch of the Pikmin.
Right, after they collect stuff, yeah.
This might not... Oh, this is actually closer than I thought it was. If the president was farther away, then I would say that you would want to take your whites to this instead, but it was pretty close. And Chemi might swap out the carry for whites after this gets in anyway. But yeah, this RNG is really good, though. Like, either way she would have done it, it would have been really fast. So yeah, Jpep is not waiting for it, because it's going to be way too far.
I love that tech of like putting whites on the thing that will come in first on a layout where the treasures are close enough that you can actually load the whites on the other treasure after. Because it's like normally the way that you play like layouts is like, okay, I have a X amount of whites, where do I put them? But in this case, it's like, well, I get to put them on everything in this case, yeah. So
yeah, you get to maximize the amount of time that you're using whites instead of using other colors. That's a really rare case on that FC2. Mostly just because like the present was closer than I've ever seen it on those kinds of layouts. Normally it'll be like way farther away, and then you have to make sure you save your whites for that to make it not be the last thing in. This is going to be kind of awkward for Chemi, but she got a stun. There's also going to be a lot of bugs if she decides to go out of the way for some. Unfortunately, I think some whites were on that, but that's not going to be the end of the world. Okay, I think she has the read. I honestly would have still done that after, though, maybe. Because I think she knew by the time that she was approaching the candle that the ring was not going to be in there. But the thing is that any time that you spend doing other stuff that isn't getting Pikmin on this dig is pretty much just time loss. Especially because this electric gate is here and you can't just C-stick fully in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I probably would have just done like the usual thing we do and thrown 4 whites to the side by that dig and then gone to the candle. But I guess like Chemi saw where the candle was and where the ring was and was probably like, well, I'm already here. I might as well just do this real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, Jpep. Okay, I guess he had to look at the floor a bit to recognize what it was.
Kimmy also going out of her way to go back and get that extra small, since she had the time. Since that the ring was the last thing they had to get in, you know. Really smart like play to just get like squeeze out the bugs as much as possible.
Yeah, that was pretty good recognition.
Jpep making a similar play on 2 here, but he actually had left some whites for the present, compared to Kimmy who took all whites on the boot.
Well, Jpep also had more whites total,
Yeah,
so he had a bit more freedom. This RNG looks pretty bad for Chemi on this 4.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, it's a little scary, but there was some time before they would
Yeah.
start sparking.
If you get like picked up there at like the wrong moment, and then you can't do anything for your squad to get them to like flip the beetle, it can really suck. And you're right, this is a terrible layout.
I think
Really
arguably Chemi should have gone to these treasures before killing anything, I would say. Because the thing that Jack helped me out with this is that I had a PB with RNG like this, but like a little bit worse.
Oh my gosh.
And the
Barely
thing is
got the
that
flip.
like you have enough time because of how far these treasures are away from the ship to just come in here and flip all these guys instead of doing combat on the way in.
Yeah.
And the thing is that like I don't necessarily think it was wrong for Chemi to kill an anode or 2 right outside the start, but she didn't collect them, which like mitigates all of like the time that she spent doing that.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, in this case, she just barely had time to flip that first beetle. I mean, it was charging up, so very, very close there. Jpep here on 3 is actually doing what you mentioned, focusing on getting that dig started on a ring before collecting candle. So interested to see.
Yeah,
how
I
that
think this is
plays
the
out.
better option because you have this dig going while you're going to get the candle.
Yeah. I mean, we did see from Kimmy that like there was a long time that it took after everything was collected but the ring that she was just waiting. I mean, she used it to get some bugs, so didn't completely go to waste, but definitely could have been faster if she had a better roll.
Yeah, so you're probably going to see from Jpep that these 2 treasures are going to come in at roughly the same time. I mean, obviously the candle wasn't that far away from the ring, so it still has a pretty sizable lead over the... the candle has a pretty sizable lead over the ring still, just because of the orientation, but it's a bit less jarring.
Right. Kimmy actually had to kill like... Why did she kill like 5 Bermudas there? I did not pay attention to that 5.
I was not really paying attention.
But I
It's just
over
that
and
like
they're all fucking dead.
Well, if it was one all the way in the back and the rest of the Bermudas were in the path, then they probably all would have had to die eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can, then generally it's preferred to spawn the treasure and then kill one of the other ones, and then because you're waiting on the cutscene to play before you can carry this treasure.
Right, exactly. Which gives the enemies time to like recognize that you're there, you know.
Okay, if I were Jpep, I would have thrown a purple on that cinch bug. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Everything's fine. Everything's okay.
Oh my gosh.
Everything's still okay.
This is too close for comfort.
Okay, I would have killed just both of these. And he's not collecting that either. Like, okay, I don't think killing those for safety is the worst. I just think that if you're going to kill them, you should collect them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a chance that because he killed them on the way in, that he's not going to worry about killing things on the way out and then collect them.
Well, there is still 2 more anodes in this room.
Yeah.
It looks like one of them is like
in
in
far
Narnia.
enough that they won't get near each other.
Or I guess only one other. I thought there were 2 others.
Oh
Oh,
my God,
that's
I
a
did
bit of
not
a
see that
problem.
one.
That's why I would have killed both of these.
Yeah, yeah, he paid for that one. I did not see that there was a third one in like towards the spawn
I don't think
hallway.
anyone died, but that could have been pretty bad.
Yeah, the marble barely missed that. Kimmy handled this FC7 really, really well.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's interesting that for how much Jpep focuses on these like frame savers and these really tiny optimizations, I'm surprised he doesn't just mash start on come downs like that one. Because the thing about, by the way, Jpep is, I think, doing this correctly, assuming this is the guy with the treasure. Oh no, it's not. It's behind him, so yeah. Still fine. But yeah, the thing is that on pretty much every floor in the game, the idea is like you need to figure out where everything is and then develop a game plan on it. But that is not really necessary on floors that are always the same. Or on floors where the come down doesn't really give you anything that
Right.
helps you towards that goal. Like on SH5, for instance, like you can look at the come down and know where the rooms are and like which rooms there are and whether there's like it's like a top to bottom or whatever. But that doesn't really benefit you in terms of like what you're gonna do to start the floor. Like the very first thing you always do to start that floor is low down and look for where the antenna beetle is, and then go that way. And it doesn't matter what rooms are in the way or whatever, because you're always gonna do the same thing. And it's a similar thing with like FC5 here, because no matter where the Mamuta with the treasure is, the floor always looks the same, and the come down doesn't tell you where it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of surprised that Jpep hasn't adopted just mashing start on that come down and other come downs like that.
How is Kimmy's bug count looking heading into?
Oh, I was not looking. I was
Yeah,
not looking at her money. We'll see at the start of, or towards the end of COS 2, though.
Yeah.
That actually wouldn't be the worst love nugget if they needed a love nugget, but they have lens, so they probably don't need it. Jpep doing pretty much the same thing that Chemi did.
Yep.
Yeah, this. Oh, that Bulborb just ate shit on the right.
Completely sniped.
Okay, this RNG is kind of mid because the hole is gated, but it's not the worst because the duck is not gated. Okay, it looks like she's just forcing this because she already saw the Wollywog that had the treasure, which is good. And then, yeah, pretty clean.
Looks like Jpep lost 4 whites. I didn't catch it, but according to chat, he lost some whites. I assume from like the smalls or the big on like the bell on the way back, they just like didn't lure efficiently. I noticed he also loaded the bell with 19 instead of 20, so marginally slower, maybe having an effect on them having more time to react and grab some.
Yeah, that's normally not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it might have made a difference. Okay, yeah, he did not collect this before, so he's got to do it now. Which means he's seeing 70% regardless, which is a little unfortunate, but yeah.
Missing that cutscene skip? I'm just kidding.
Ooh, the COS 3 looks like kind of mid RNG. But it was at least a pretty easy read because she saw this on the come down. I'm actually kind of shocked she's playing it this way. Okay, the hole is gated, so pretty alright play. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised she didn't come get the shell while that gate was working, though.
Yeah, she chose to just kind of fully load it and let it finish before moving on to the other things. Because now the shell dig is you have less Pikmin for the shell dig and the gate in front of the exit because you left like
Well,
30 whatever on the other thing.
well, it would have been like the same amount of Pikmin, I think.
Mhm.
Because like you want to leave like 25 to 30 or whatever on the gate with the shell or the can. I'm just thinking like now this is moving and it's the only thing moving is the
Right.
thing.
What about like fully loading the first gate, and then once it gets like halfway or at X point, whistle off until there's like 25-ish, 30-ish blues, and then just going. And then after they finish the gate, they'll just collect the other one. Is that an option?
I don't really think that's better than just putting like 25 to 30 blues on to begin with. Also, the thing is, like, you probably, like, if you're playing it like that, you should probably either leave a captain or leave a few purples on there. Because chances are not all the Pikmin will go straight from the gate to the treasure. Yeah. Yeah, I think in an ideal world, you would start that gate with a few Pikmin and then just go to the other one.
Jpep choosing to actually deal with things in a slightly different order on this too. Choosing to like first take care of the like the lipstick and the other treasures, and then load the dig.
For what it's worth, I don't know if I would call that lipstick taken care of necessarily, because the purple didn't hit the Dweevil, so it might have picked up the treasure again. I think what I usually like doing in this floor is putting like half my whites and blues on the duck, and then dealing with the gate and the lipstick with my remaining Pikmin.
Yeah.
And I think what both of them did is they like full sent on the dig and then full sent on the gate. I don't really know which is per se better. I don't know if one is better than the other. That's just how I like to play it usually.
I like Kimmy going out of her way to nectar those 2 extra purples there with the flint on this 5. It's pretty free because I mean you have to wait on the key anyways. So just good optimization there, because I mean if you have like purple leaves on the section where you enter GK, like you have to walk a pretty significant distance in the overworld, and that could affect things.
Yeah, those purple leaves are not coming in if there are still leaves. Also, 8830 here. Oh, Jpep's doing the play that I think is better. So now that gate is working, and he's going to be over here doing the shell. So this is probably going to start right around when that gate ends. So then, yeah, he can... a little bit more health on it. Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think this is just the better way of doing this. Assuming the can's moving right now, Jpep didn't actually check. Okay, yeah, it is moving.
Assuming he's just gonna abandon those blue sprouts.
Yeah, those blues are not very important Pikmin right now.
Chemi actually fell down with Louie, so having to take the time to fix that and get back up.
A little bit of problems there. But this gate didn't have enough Pikmin on it soon enough. It's a little unfortunate. Which I think is a consequence of Jpep only having like 80 Pikmin in the cave compared to Chemi having like 90. Because those 10 Pikmin, when you're dealing with gates, actually do make a pretty big difference. We got a Moke Throws layout. I don't really think you have to stand that far back to line up these shots, but, you know, whatever gets it done, I suppose.
I've actually never seen Moke throws on that particular thing. I've seen a lot on GK4 and obviously like FC2, but never seen it on top of that thing. I didn't even know you could do it on it.
Yeah, it's a lot less common on this floor because there's 6 spawn points and you only need one thing on the floor. It's a lot more common on GK4 because there's less spawn points and you're getting everything on that floor, so either of the two standing treasures could be up there. I think it's something like 60% of GK4s require Moke throws. It's crazy that there's nothing in that room that Chemi just checked. Oh, she's probably getting bread bugged. Okay, no, she good recognition. If I were her, I actually would have taken some whites off of that now that it was away from the bread bug's hole, but it might not end up mattering depending on where the hole is. That's kind of scary considering how close that was to collecting.
Yeah, that would be pretty significant time loss if you get bread bug. I've never seen people get consider getting bread bug in 3. I usually see it be more of a problem on 2 and maybe 6.
It's actually really common on 3 at like the mid to high skill level.
Mm-hmm.
There are just a bunch of layouts where you just get bread bugged and there's nothing you can do about it.
Interesting, yeah.
Also, the reason why I said that was scary is because Chemi opted to destroy that electric gate, but the clacker was like a second away from collecting by the time the wire got destroyed.
Right. So that cutscene could have messed with the timing of that.
That's partly why I said I probably would have taken some whites off.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you want to rush Pikmin in there so that you don't get bread bugged, which she did correctly, and which was the good part of that. But what I would have done after it moved away from the bread bug's hole is I would have swapped those whites for blues. Because, obviously, you know, there's the cutscene thing, but also just because, like, you want to save your whites for the compass, which hasn't started to move yet by that point. Also, double Moke throws. I don't know if I agree with getting this moving before doing the Moke throws.
Yeah, because there's always a chance that you mess it up and it might take several tries. Those would have worked, but they won't. That's me now, right?
I don't know if both of them would have worked. I think at least one of them would have worked.
Because the interesting thing, like little difference about this game versus 1, is that in a cutscene, if a Pikmin's in the air in 2, it will just like plop down after the cutscene. Versus 1, they'll finish their trajectory. Little tiny detail there.
So now these cutscenes are messing with things. Like, yeah. With that white goodness on the house, like I probably would have just gotten it after doing the Moke throws. And maybe put like a few whites on it.
I know she's going out of her way to collect smalls there. Like, I haven't been paying attention. What is her like bug count looking like? Like, what does she need to get?
Well, she needed 15 going in, and she didn't have like any available on 2 or 3. Well, I guess there were some available on 2. So 94.58. So she's down like 7 from being able to finish the run. Which just means, like, yeah. And the anodes on GK6 are worth 3 Pokos each, so she could just opt to get 3 anodes by this point and be fine. Or get, like, a dwarf here and get 2 anodes. Pretty good RNG. Oop. Classic.
Gosh, it's just in such an awkward spot now, hard to load. Because it's like on the lip of the rim there, so like the Pikmin can't like properly get on it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think like she tried to just C-stick some on the front to save it, but there were like no purples that grabbed on, which is unfortunate. Yeah. She's probably gonna get these 2 Matites, and then have only 5 left to collect. 5 Pokos.
Yeah, she's got 3 Pokos there.
Oh, Jpep is probably getting bread bugged here, if I had to guess. Yep. So Jpep did not quite book it as hard as Chemi did. That's one of the scary things about 3 is that like you want to be collecting bugs and stuff, and you want to play it like you normally do, but you're just gonna get bread bugged a lot if you do that. And the thing that I advocate for with that is that like if you start playing GK3 like it's just any other floor, and you play as urgently on GK3 as you do in like the rest of the run, or like vice versa, I guess, if we're being technical, like you treat the rest of the run like it's GK3, then all of a sudden you won't feel like you're under as much pressure of getting bread bugged. Because yeah, a common thing is that like, oh no, I have to go so fast to not get bread bugged here, and it's really scary and hard. But it's like you should just be going that fast in the whole run if we're being real. GBB probably will turn around soon.
Doing his own thing.
Okay, if I were Chemi, I would just completely whistle off those treasures. And just let GBB get this one, and then yeah, speed up the rest. Good. It was good cooperation overall from GBB.
Looks like a what, like a mid 137? 138 from Chemi?
Maybe low 137? It's gonna be a bit of cutscenes before the end.
Pretty good, darn good for a race.
Yeah, that was pretty freaking good. And there were really minimal mistakes as well. That's kind of just like the classic racing against someone as good as Chemi thing. And with somebody who plays like Chemi, is that like it's like this is one of the 2 scenarios that I mentioned at the start, right? Like either it goes like this or Chemi makes a bunch of mistakes and loses. Yeah. Like there's not really much in between.
Jpep also did have to reset on SCX6, which made like the gap a little bigger.
Yeah,
he lost. Then it was like maybe like no more than 1.5 sub levels at any point in the run. So
yeah, it was like a minute to that, unfortunately. Yeah, I think this might be like 137 flat for Chemi. Well, according to the the stream timer, obviously they're using their own timers. So we'll see exactly what it is.
Nice run from Chemi.
GG.
I noticed also that Jpep did the same thing that you were talking about that Chemi did, where he loaded White Goodness before going for Moke throws, like you were talking about earlier.
Well, Chemi, GG's.
GG's. That was an interesting scene. It was kind of hard in places, but I think it probably makes for interesting race commentary. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that was a really good race, and it was really interesting to dissect some of the plays.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really good to see that. It's good to see that Jpep is like so close behind. Sorry, I've got the.
He had a reset on SCX6 that lost like a minute in addition to this deficit.
Yeah, up until then it was like no more than like 1.5 sub levels at any given point, so it was pretty close most of the race.
That is incredible. Like also seriously, like great performance from Jpep, just preemptively.
Yeah. This GK also has not been going, let's say, swimmingly for Jpep.
Yeah, he got bread bugged on 3.
Oh no, yeah, it was really easy to get bread bugged there. I just barely managed to scrape by without it.
Yeah, you guys, I think, played a lot of the run pretty similar as well.
Yeah, for sure, I agree on that. Made a lot of the same plays.
I think Jpep's going to need a lot of bugs on 6 to finish this. He's going to need 16 Pokos. So he'll probably need every anode and like a bread bug body.
Ouch.
He also has like an insanely low amount of Pikmin right now, which is going to make it even harder that he has to collect so many bugs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's been bleeding Pikmin a lot in PP, I think.
These Pikmin counts aren't ideal, but I wouldn't say they're out of. I don't know why.
Ooh.
Why are we?
Failed the
Oh,
Mai Tais?
I don't know why we broke the eggs, but it's actually going to work out really well for Jpep.
I think that's exactly what he was fishing for.
We high roll in here. I like to see it.
Normally that can be a problem if it's gonna like interrupt the donut carry or something, but that actually was like, because the donut wasn't that far ahead by that point, so that was pretty ideal placement of those Matites. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a body here for GBB to get.
If he
might have
stops
time to
that
whistle some of the
anode,
Mai
it would be
Tais.
fine.
I think it's gonna get in this lockout.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
He could grab the Matite, but it looks like he's not gonna.
Unfortunately, I see the scenario that's going to happen where Jpep's going to come in and be like, GBB trolled me, but that was pretty preventable, I would say, in this instance.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, if you had the body right there, then you would have seen it and not disappeared like that. At least, like, most of the time. I think he can still troll you if you're just really unlucky. But...
Yeah, I think if he had the foresight to stop that body, then he probably wouldn't have gotten trolled. I mean, obviously he still could have gotten trolled, but it would have been significantly less likely.
He probably needs more bugs than this as well, right?
I think he's good if he got all the Matites.
Yeah, he needed 15.
Oh yeah, no, he's good. Wait, no. Yeah, no, he just got the bread bug body, so he needs 8 more. Yeah.
8 more? Wow, what?
Ooh, wow.
I thought he needed
factor 10.
he needed 16, I thought. And the Matites are 10, and he got 2 anodes and a bread bug. I must have just miscounted. Oh no, he's good. I guess the GBB didn't get in before that cutscene.
Oh, so that was something else that got in just before then.
Okay, no, yeah, you got enough. We're good.
Yeah, GG.
Yeah, good finish.
Yeah, good finish from both runners there. What was Chemi? What was your time on your splits?
Oh, 137.01.
Nice, nice.
Oh, GG's, Jpep.
GG's.
GG's.
How did you find that?
GK was a nightmare. That's all I can say about this. I think everything else was pretty fun.
Yeah, no, I think this was a really, really fun race seed in most ways. There were a lot of like really interesting floors.
Damn, you got a 137 out of this? Jesus. You fucking raced.
Yeah, I feel like I played just like super solidly the whole time. Like I don't think I really made any major mistakes. Probably the worst thing that happened to me in the whole run is losing 5 whites before VR2.
Ah, I see.
It was like 3 on stage 4 to a boulder and 2 more on BK7 or BK6, sorry. But yeah, like the rest of it was just like super smooth for me. I was honestly kind of surprised. Like I very nearly got bread bugged on that GK3.
Oh yeah, I got bread bugged on that GK3.
Yeah, I just barely managed to scrape past the electric gate cycle and stop it. But it was like, man, like in any other situation, I would have completely been bread bugged there.
I think I had a reset on SCX6.
Oh yeah, I was thinking like that floor was like surprisingly tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I don't know. I feel like as far as hard as CX6s go, it's in the lower end of those. But I don't know.
for sure.
I didn't see one of the anodes in the main room and killed like 40 guys, and maybe that was continuable. I don't know. I don't feel like it was.
No. I like very nearly lost a bunch of Pikmin to that guy. Like right as I was leaving for the exit, and I was getting like the treasure cutscenes coming in, and I was just like, oh no, please don't spark, please don't. Yeah, very nerve-wracking. I hate that. I hate that they can just like be next to the ship. Like that feels like something that shouldn't
yeah.
be possible.
I mean, despite that, the reset in SCS6 and some of the bleeding in like later Perplexing Pool from you, Jpep, it was actually really close. Like, Chemi was playing really well, but you were playing really well too. Like at that reset, when you reset at SCS6, I mean, you were maybe like a sub level behind, sub level half. So it's definitely like you're both playing really well.
I think. Yeah, what was I thinking? I was gonna say that, like, when I entered this call, that I was hoping that I kept it competitive until SCX6, which it seems like it was, so.
Definitely seems like it.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really nice race.
Was there anything else that's worth talking about?
Oh, I got a bunch of Matites on day 4. I had like 58.
What the fuck?
You got like 6 of them collected, didn't you?
Oh,
It was
did
like
you guys
6
see
or
my
7.
fucking brilliant Mitite play on GK6? I was so proud of myself for that one.
Yeah,
Were
I
you
propose we
looking for
call this.
Mitites there? Is that what?
Yeah, I intentionally broke the eggs to get my tights because I needed 16 bugs, and I was like, well, you know, will be way faster if I just get my tights here, so let's make this happen.
It is now and forevermore the Frenchman's Gambit.
Yeah, let's go.
See, the European gambit is banking on Cookie, but the Frenchman's gambit is
No, that's the Englishman's Gambit. Is
the
banking on
Englishman.
Cookie.
Oh, the Englishman's gambit.
Oh, I'm so sad. I wish I had played that as CX6 better.
Yeah,
But
it's
whatever.
one of those
That's
weird
fine.
ones. It is what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, I'm super excited to go and watch this VOD and just like do sort of comparative
Yeah, me too.
comparative gameplay. I'm probably gonna do that like right after this.
Maybe a bit tired for that, but
All right. Yeah.
soon.
I guess that's it then. Let me link to the bracket in the chat there. So Chemi is moving on to. Is that winners semifinals?
Probably facing Cap,
so.
right? Oh, or whoever wins out of
It'll
Cap and
be,
Kira.
Yep, Chemi will face the winner of Cap and Kira.
I'm rooting for
Jpep,
Kira
looks like you're
personally.
going against
Yeah.
SBU next in losers
Yeah,
round
that's
2.
gonna be an interesting match.
And let's see. Let me give you all a quick update on where we are with upcoming matches. Our next scheduled match is Tuesday at 4 p.m. EDT. It's going to be Under the Bed versus Rixoro. And the only other match that we currently have scheduled is Cap versus Kira next Sunday.
Me and Max decided on a time for this Wednesday.
Oh, all right, perfect. Then I will get that added to the schedule.
Assuming someone can restream that. I don't know if anybody can or not.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get that added to the schedule then. And unless anyone else had anything else to say, I think we're good here.
All right. Have a good time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching,
GG's.
everyone.